Those of you who know, doesn't let his right hand know what his left hand is doing and all that stuff. And though I don't know him very well, what little I've noticed of him is what I think we all should learn to be, is to just be ourselves, and be honest and stuff like that. I mean, I can't claim to know him at all, but not even planning to knows him as intimately as probably Kenny and and whatever, Akash and all that. He's been with kids, and that's what it's all about, I think. Yeah. So I heard so much has happened in the last couple of days for all of you, that you're all now new people, you're all transformed. So when he called me, the final thing, all this fear of Mike's going to speak, oh my God, what am I going to do? Finally, when he did call me, he said, actually, don't apologize, just say what you have to say, don't be fearful of these guys. And don't be fearful of what the church has to think about you or all that stuff. But then I thought that you've been through more than what I can say, really. There's nothing more left to say after hearing all that you guys have been through. And I'm so sad that I wasn't here because I haven't experienced that firsthand. What you guys have been through is amazing. So I just decided not to say anything except tell you my story. And you're not allowed to leave. Okay. I think a lot of what I've been through in my life has impacted me, and I've moved from this whole thing, and I hope you will do too at some point in time, from being justice people to become an understander or experiencer or receiver of mercy. I think that is the transition one needs to make, and I really attribute a lot of that to what I've seen in my childhood and what I've experienced in my childhood. It's not what has been preached to me, it's just something that's been injected into me through my spirit. And I didn't go to school, I went straight to university, and in the Madras School of Social Work, where I was doing my master's in social work, I remember once we got news that these slums outside anybody from Madras here? Outside the Nungamakam, whatever, the famous place, the Royal College, were being evicted, and all those people were going to be homeless overnight, overday, whatever. So we were just entering college, and outside we got this news, we started spreading it around, and everybody was like, what do we do, what do we do? So I just stood there on the steps of this school of social work and said, we need to go there and protest, we need to do this, we need to stand up, and we don't allow people to just be displaced, people who live there for 40 years, just because they have a fancy complex behind it and they're dirtying the looks of it. So we had so many opinions, and people said, no, we have no right to do that, we can't stand against the law, blah, 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 whatever. And so I said, all right, all those of you who want to study social work, go in there, all those of you who want to do something about life, come with me. And we all went there, and we were all worried about courting arrest and all that stuff. And this is all news to me, and I was not experienced to this before. But we just responded to what we felt. And I think I blame my dad for that, really. My dad was a Pentecostal. He was a firebrand Christian, and we grew up in the Anglican church. The proper, where we chanted the liturgy and all that stuff, which is beautiful. I still, sometimes feel like worshiping God that way. I miss that a lot, and sometimes I go back to my home church and, sing the chants, and it's so beautiful, because if you really experience God, then I think those chants make sense. If you're just doing it by rote, it doesn't make any sense to you, probably. You could be thinking of breakfast and we can't do that. Anyway, I think my dad, being the kind of break away from the Anglican, whatever, evangelical, Lutheran, to being the extreme Pentecostal in that small town. We grew up in a small town, and those few people knew each other. We grew up in an Agrahar, which was a priestly little town, and we were the untouchables in that community and all that stuff. And we suffered a bit, not because of the social part. The people were lovely. Even those priests and whoever, they evolved, they were well educated. They didn't really practice any of that, though my parents, I think, suffered it at some point in time. We never suffered it. But anyway, coming to the point is that though my dad spent his nights in all-night prayers praying for revival in that town, and he spent time organizing conventions and revival meetings and bringing DGS, dinner current for the first time into that little town, and all those kind of things. And we had all the time prayer meetings in our house. We never could sleep because of all these guys speaking in strange languages. And we had people outside our house thinking what's going on inside there, you know. And, from that kind of a person, he had a very quiet, simple life that he led. And that's what, most of the time we didn't know what he was doing. But the little time that I did observe what he was doing impacted me so much. I mean, he was a big man. I don't know why I didn't turn out like that. But he was tall, handsome. He was, you know, almost 6 foot, muscular, big barrel chest and muscles and shoulders and all that stuff. And when we went from place to place, we went by rickshaw. And this was cycle-drawn rickshaws. You know, you're aware of this, no? In 2009, you're still aware of this. Okay. And whenever the rickshaw came up to a little gradient, we'd hop off and push the rickshaw. We were seeing them embarrassing, or my friends are not passing by. You know, my dad is pushing a rickshaw. And, you know, he'd do stuff like that. And he would rather be embarrassed than be embarrassed by being allowing himself to let a frail man push the rickshaw up the hill by himself. He lived that life. And then, you know what, very secretly at lunchtime in the college, he used to get these rickshaw owners to come and talk to him. And he got to know their lives, he got to know their stories. And he discovered, the system was that the guy who rented the rickshaw to the rickshawala to go ply it actually made more money than the rickshawala who actually drove the rickshaw the whole day. Do you understand? If he made 50 bucks, he had to pay 40 bucks for rent. And so he got 10 bucks for pushing the rickshaw the whole day. So my dad started saying, why don't you guys get your rickshaws? So he'd take one by one, stand guarantee at the bank, and they'd have no address, no nothing, they'd be living on a shack or on the street. He'd get them a loan, he'd get them a rickshaw, they'd bring their rickshaw, proudly show it, and then it would be written on the back, hypothecated to Indian Overseas Bank or whatever. And you know, all this he did very quietly. Never anybody knew that he was the man who was getting all these rickshawalas organized and independent and economically free and all that stuff. And he was not a social worker. He didn't go to, you know, a social justice program like you did. He just did it because the Spirit told him to do it. And he would keep collecting coins for the bus. And we had a difficult life. It wasn't, we weren't poor, but we weren't wealthy like you guys are today. We had to save 5 paisa and 3 paisa, 8 paisa for the bus fare. Can you believe? 10 paisa and 3 paisa. I mean, have you seen a 5 paisa in your life? 5 Yeah, some of you have seen 5 paisa. Okay. And that's because if you get 10 paisa, you wouldn't get the 2 paisa back as change. So he used to save these coins. Then one day I remember he broke a box and he gave all the money away to one guy who cycled his way home, and I asked him, what are you doing? I mean, what do we do for change? And he said, I asked him why did that man need money? He said he's insulin dependent and he needs a shot every day or he's going to die. And I said, oh my God, you know, we have the money to save somebody from dying in a little box, which we thought we were saving 2 paisas on the bus. You know, things like that, saying that there's something with each of us which can probably be something that you're not aware of. It's a little that you waste, it's a little that you don't think about. And you know, so when I saw injustice, when I saw, you know, stuff like that, it started to have a reaction in me. It's not because I was taught to be like that, it's not because I was told to be like that, it's not I was told that that's the right way to be, it's nowhere was it pointed out from the Bible that this is the way one's supposed to live, but it's just became second nature to me. So, I must refer to my notes, otherwise I'll be here all day, and this guy told me already we start late, but we stop on time. So, anyway, back to school of social work, and what I want to say is that I was very bad at academic stuff. I couldn't stand it.